Behind the Shades.
My name is Kari Petruch, and I'm a master relationship coach, an author, and a public speaker. And I help couples to reignite their relationships when they find that things are kind of down and they want to have more joy and excitement in their relationships. That's what I do. Um, the name of my book is Get Out of the Box and Into Play, The Secret to a Lasting Relationship. And you can find that on Amazon. And if you want to know more or read my blog for lots of tips about parenting and relationships, you can go to highestintentcoach.com. I'm a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 9. So, and I love my kids and I love my grandchildren.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. A grandmother of 9.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite the accomplishment. One thing I like to mention about parents is that it's like a tree, right? So for
Mm.
example, Carrie, you be that tree and all these branches are like your offsprings, and then the branches of the branches are the offspring of your offspring. So grandmother of 9, how does that make you feel to know that 12 people total have a connection to you?
It's super fantastic. I really enjoyed being a parent, but being a grandparent is just incredible joy. You get to, all the discipline and all of those things that you need to do as a parent fall out the window, and you get to just play and play and play with your grandchildren. It is a great joy. It truly is.
So it sounds like you're not the wicked witch of the West when it comes to your grandchildren.
Oh no, no. They all call me Mimi and I spoil them rotten. I just love and love and love on them.
I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother's the most important person in my life, and I realized that the love that you have for like a grandparent is totally different than you have for your own parents. It's like
Hmm.
it's just a different type of connection. It's hard to explain for me, but sometimes for those who don't know, it's something like you feel like when you see your grandmother, your grandfather, you feel a different type of connection. Is that something that you believe to be true?
Oh, I do believe it's true because I think we're calmer by the time we're grandparents. We don't get so excited about, rules and things like that. I'll bring my grandkids in and I will enjoy making cookies with them, and I don't worry about the mess. When they leave and they go home, then I clean up the mess. It's just not just much more relaxed, and realize that the time that I have with them has to be really quality time.
And I wonder how much of that is that you know that they're going home, right? Where
Oh,
it's like, I
yeah.
know after like 6 p.m., they're out of here. I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
them ever more, right? Like it.
Yeah, you do get a little more tired a little more quickly. Some people have a lot more energy, but I definitely do. When it's time for them to go home, it's time for them to go home. That's true.
Johnny, Kimberly, grandma's tired. So can
Yes,
you take
yes.
them out of here a
You
little
need to go
bit?
home and sleep in your own bed, and yeah, yeah, yeah.
So take us through the genesis of your journey when it comes to parenting. Is this something that you always envisioned for yourself when it came to having your own children?
I always envisioned being a mother. I mean, I always wanted to. Motherhood came to me quicker than I had planned. So, I had a little boy, and then 15 months later, I had a little girl, and then 2.5 years later, I had another little boy. Those are my 3 children, and I was fairly young. I was 22 when I started having children. I hadn't planned on having them until 30, but well, they were here. So I didn't plan on a lot of things. Life happens, and I what I also didn't plan on is having two children who had some serious disabilities. So I have a daughter who is deaf, and I have a son who's hard of hearing and Asperger's. Um, and I remember praying to God when I was pregnant with each one of my children, it doesn't matter to me, just make sure that they're here and that I can love them. And so I think I was well equipped to be a mother of children with special needs. So
I think many parents would probably agree with you and say that they're equipped to be a parent, but they weren't necessarily prepared, meaning that there wasn't like a book or a manual that they can say that, okay, the child is here. Step 1, do this. Step 10, do this.
well,
It's more like you're building it. It's like an airplane. You're building it as you fly, basically, right? But you had to
oh,
figure it out yourself. So how did you figure it out?
yeah, I had a really rough early childhood, really abusive early childhood, and I had no idea how to be a mom. So how I prepared myself for being a mother was I got scared when I was pregnant with my first child, really, really scared. And I thought, I don't want to repeat what happened to me as an early child, and I want to be the best mom that I can be. So I got every book that there was on parenting, and I read and read and read and read and read while I was pregnant with my first child. Um, everything that I could get my hands on. And back then, reading a book on the internet was not a possibility. I had to go to the library and get those books and read those books and return them. And um, my experience as a child wasn't a good one. So I wanted to make the experience for my children a better one. As parents, we can't completely erase our experience. If we've had a bad experience with our childhood, we can't completely erase it, but we can certainly take steps to change that.
I, I wonder how many people will be that transparent and that self-aware that their childhood was one that they don't want to repeat for their own children. Like, what happened in your life for you to realize that, hey, I'm pregnant, I don't want this for my child?
Yeah, just the fear of giving birth to a child and not knowing what to do. I didn't want to, I was hit and I was verbally abused, and I didn't want that for my children. I knew how I felt, and I was scared. How do I stop this? How do I, what happens if I get mad at my kid? Am I going to hit my kid? Am I going to yell at my kid? Am I going to call my kid names? And so I thought I needed to do whatever it took to stop that.
Was that easy for you to overcome and make sure that you weren't passing that on to your kids?
It took work to do that. I remember my first child was really needy. He would wake up every hour and a half for feedings, and I was pretty sure I was going to lose my mind because I wasn't getting sleep. I wasn't getting any rest at all, and I was by myself. My husband was active duty military, and he was gone all the time, so it pretty much fell on me to take care of my son. And I called the doctor one day and I said, "What do I do? My kid's crying and crying and crying, and I've held him. I've done all the things that you've told me, and all these books have taught me to do, and I'm so frustrated and I'm so angry." And I still remember what he said to me. And he said, "Kari, you are the best mother for your child." He said, "Be the best mother." He says, "Put the baby in the crib and walk away. Just walk away from the baby and count to 100, and then go back. Your child is not going to die or disappear because you walked away from it for a little while." He said, "But you need to get you straight so that you can be there to comfort your child." And it worked like a charm. It did. It worked like a charm.
The fear that you speak of, Kari, was that a fear that you didn't want to repeat what you went through as a child? Or was that a fear of more so that I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I have the best intentions of making it work?
I think both. I think I was I was terrified of my own anger, and not that I was rageful, but so much abuse had been done that I was afraid of my own anger. And I also had a lot of fear about, being the best that I could be. And I had a lot of fear early, that by the time the second child came, that fear started to go away. And I realized that it wasn't quite as hard as I was making it out to be when I was a new mother.